Ask them to announce themselves.
Loretta is asking if you can discuss freedom and free will.
Freedom and free will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Freedom and free will. A lot of people get this. A lot of people get this confused, but uh, freedom is when you. I guess the simplest answer is freedom is when you follow the law of karma, strictly follow the law of karma. Then you find freedom. When you when you go against the law of karma, you find free will. You practice free will. And free will actually push you into a spiral of action and reaction, uh, not to your wanting. In other words, so if you desire freedom, then you predetermine all your actions under the law of karma. If you don't desire freedom, then you you fall into a swirl with no real direction, and just choose to live a life of free will, not abiding by any rules and regulations, like a leaf in the wind. And I guess that's the simplest explanation. You know, it's a lot of people don't understand that, but it makes pretty good sense because once you are aware of the power and the knowledge and when you have a presence of mind, then you tap into the resources around you in order to propel yourself wherever you want, and then you find that you have the freedom to do whatever you want to do. So, but most people think of that in the opposite way. I hope that answers your question.
Is there a recommendation for reading or practice for beginning breath work?
Uh, they talking about science of breath.
I think it's talking about pranayama.
Pranayama, yeah. So yeah, the same thing, science of breath. The pranayama, there's, I think I said this a couple of weeks ago too. There is there's 3 or 4 books I would recommend from different authors, and that's from George King, Dr. Sri Yogi Riji George King. He has a book on contact your higher self through yoga. You can find it at atheris.org, and also Yogi Ramacharaka from the Yogi Publication Society. They have a book on science of breath. You can find out on at the Yoga Publication Society website, or you can go to our website, mysticknowledge.org, and there's a free copy there. Also, I recommend Swami Sivananda, book on pranayama. You can find that at the Divine Society website, or you can download it from our website as well. And then there's a book within the book, Nature Final Forces by Rama Prasad. There's the second section of that book is the science of breath, and you can find that on our website as well.
Could you please discuss shaktipat and the possible benefits, dangers, and effects on Kundalini? Shaktipat. P-A-T.
Yeah. Ask them what they mean by shaktipat. I just want to know if we have the same meaning. What do you mean by shaktipat?
They have it as one word. Shaktipat.
That happens naturally. And it's rare that someone can do that. So there are certain tantric exercises or techniques to allow someone to do that, but it's rarely used. And a lot of times when it's used publicly is not something of white magic or positive magic, is something of evil magic. So.
You mean like autobiography yoga?
Yeah, but that's usually done in private, and it's usually done between teacher and student, but you have some tantric people, they use it in the public, and that's not normal, because some of them use it to get people to follow them or whatever, and normally that's not the way it's done. But Kundalini, to rise the power of Kundalini, is a tremendous. It takes a tremendous effort of that person, and if someone who's doing it for you outside of you, that person has to be a fairly advanced person or very good at certain energy manipulations, and usually, if they raise the full power of Kundalini, they have to probably be a master or advanced adept. But they can give a partial rise to Kundalini, but not a full rise. A full rise of Kundalini will push you into a conscious state of death, and that's why it's a lot of karma connected to that. Now, passive rise of Kundalini from a teacher to a student is when the teacher gives the student a mantra, and at that point the teacher is transferring his or her Kundalini to you through that mantra. That's a passive uh, rise, a passive rise of Kundalini.
Did that answer your question? I think it did.
Yeah, when Sri Yukteswar tapped Paramahansa Yogananda on the chest several times and and uh, and raised Kundalini, help him to raise Kundalini. Sri Yukteswar, uh, he was a very advanced yogi master. He was an unusually advanced yoga master. So that's different from most people. He could have manipulated. He had the ability to manipulate the molecules in his body to live for probably uh, 2, 3, 400 years if he wanted to. That's how advanced he was. So, but that so it's different when you hear those things. And when you hear people write about it, you got to look and see everything they talk about that particular person. He was totally different. And the same thing with Swami Vivekananda's master, Ramakrishna. Ramakrishna was he was like the great Lahiri Mase. He was not from this earth. He was a cosmic being. He was the teacher of Swami Vivekananda, who also helped him to raise Kundalini within 4 years, of practice, which is highly unusual. 4 to 5 years of practice.
Is it possible to see our auras?
Of course it is. Yeah, that's a simple, that's basic. It's basic clairvoyance. A lot of people see the auras. A lot of people see the auras and don't realize they see the auras. So, but that's very possible. Pranayama will help you. Pranayama, mantra, and prayer done correctly in a positive way can help you to see auras fairly quickly too.
Welcome to everyone just joining us. Today's class is an open discussion, so feel free to ask any questions you may have in the chat, and I'll read them out to be answered.
And go back to that question on Kundalini. 'Cause I see the person asks about the dangerous effects. With Kundalini, a lot of people know, well, the dangerous effect of Kundalini, I want to talk about that. The people talk about Kundalini in a very loose way, and the whole preparation of Kundalini is actually decreasing what the yogi masters call in the past the impurity traits within the body, or the negative samskaras of the body that's lodged in the aura of the body, uh, and you have to clear the auric and notic pathways of those negative uh, energies, or megabytes of negative energy that we accumulate over lifetimes of, of, of experience throughout many reincarnations. So when the student begins to try to raise Kundalini, that's why he is taught to really he's given the 8 limbs of yoga, and the first 7 limbs of yoga is to purify himself of to purify the body and the mind, and that's taking on positive thoughts, uh, 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 chanting mantra, prayer, becoming close to God, working within the law of karma, strictly within the law of karma, bringing about restrictions on his thought, on his mind and his actions. And when he do move and talk and do whatever, is he try to direct everything to good. And what this does, this serves to clean the aura of all his negative actions of the past, all the negative samskaras that's been lodged there. Because samskaras are like, if you have a thought and an action, that energy of that thought and the action scars your aura and assert itself inside the aura around the chakras, probably for lifetimes, until it rises ugly head again at the right time, right situation. So uh, when you begin to raise Kundalini, you have to clear those notic pathways and those auric and the aura of that of those impurity traits, and then the energy can flow through the nadis and reach the 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 different chakras without obstruction. Other than that, it accentuates uh, those negative traits within you, and then you'll find yourself having tremendous craving to do that particular negative thing, whether it's lust, whether it's malice, whether it's hatred, or even murder. You'll feel, because you just empowered that trait within you to the forefront. So it's very important to follow a strict yogi procedure in trying to raise Kundalini, not the sensational weekend workshop of trying to raise Kundalini. It's a long process of clearing the notic pathways, which is the mental pathways and the vital pathways, and cleansing the aura in order to create a clear pathway for this godlike energy to flow up and open the chakra. I hope everybody understand that.
Right, so I have Jack Stratford.
Who?
Jack Stratford. He sent me an email following up from last class
Okay.
about some extra questions, but they're pretty long. Well, let me see if anything else is here first. Where do we go when we sleep?
Depends on you. The reason why they call your astral body an emotional body is mainly because the astral body, to give you a brief little history, the astral body, the whole astral realms is a distortion to this earth. And this going back deep into mystic, into the yogic teachings. And I think who speaks about this plainly? Blavatsky, Madame Blavatsky talks about it. Alice Bailey talks about it, and Rama Prese talks about it. In fact, what they said was that, and Annie Besant, and how they describe this is that the Adamic man, the original man, 18 million some years ago, that was here on this earth, his base of consciousness was at the heart chakra. And in other words, the inhabitants of this earth had moved their mental state to the heart chakra. Each chakra is a level of consciousness and a level of awareness. So that was their base of the spine. But the introduction of this race, what some people call the Meldak race, to this earth, what happened was the lower realms had to be created in order to facilitate their inhabitants here on the earth. So the astral realms were created or reopened probably, and then mankind began to live there for hundreds of thousands of years before the metamorphosis of the physical world took place. Because when the Adamic man had moved themselves to the heart chakra level, even the science began to change. The patterns and the physical science began to change because it began to respond more to the mental world than the physical world. But there was a densification that begins to happen to Earth when a large population of people came here. So the result of that is that now man's consciousness is at the base of the spine. His basic consciousness is at the base and the sextant, and that's why everything we invent have this positive and negative play with it. And it's not, you always have to connect it, it's not unified. Now, in the metaphysical science, they say that the astral body is an emotional body. And it's an emotional body because it's a distortion in this on the earth. The realms is really the realms of confusion, is the realms of emotion, and it's the realms that's made up from those impurity traits that I was telling you about. So that's within man. So you respond to your desires, in other words. When you fall asleep, if you like playing music all day long, then you find yourself going back to the music room playing the music. If you like playing ball, you find yourself you find yourself actually playing ball when you fall asleep in your astral body. So your body responds to the things that you like. Your astral body responds to the things you like, and it repeat those things that you like when you fall asleep. Oh, okay.
Is it safe to say that if you are able to follow your astral body or to observe yourself sleeping, that it will be a good indication of your true nature in terms of what drives you?
Well, when you begin to become aware of your astral body, when you when you begin to become aware of your astral body, what happens is that your consciousness shift, and so that means that you're taking some type of control. You may not have all control, but you're taking some type of control over your astral body. And what happens usually with the practicing yogi when he take control of his astral body, in the beginning he may find himself outside the physical body and just floating there, or just locked into a room somewhere until he realized the power that he have over that particular body. So he doesn't immediately when he come to a conscious state, he doesn't immediately take control over it. You know, so that's the difference.
Last question. At that stage in a yogi's or mystic's development, would you constitute that as an initiation of some sort in terms of your ability to go from one level to the next?
It could be considered an initiation. Uh, it's like riding a bike. His higher self may give him the awareness that he live on multiple realms of existence, but now he have to automate those realms of existence. A lot of people who do astral projection, or who did in the past, they'll tell you about how they floated above their body for hours at night, watching their body sit there, not realizing that they can. Well, yeah, with no control, not realizing that they can fly around the world if they just gave the right command, and they mustered that energy over their mind to begin to mold and shape the molecules of that body. Now, in the unconscious state, they move around with the astral body in a semi-unconscious state, not really having any control, and then they come back to their body and they think about this as dreams. But yet they feel tired and worn out because they don't win all everywhere. But that's the difference. Next question.
I have a follow-up question for that, but I think it might be better answered privately. But energy manipulation while you're in a projected state, are there particular techniques to help with that?
Yeah, I mean that's another thing, is because all dreams and sleep is not a projected state. Well, sleep is a projected state, but it's not a conscious projected state. It's an unconscious projected state. So it's only when you gain control over part of your mind that it becomes a conscious or semi-conscious projected state. See? Now, an excitement or trauma or something may bring it to that point. I don't know, like you can be in a car accident, right? And you fall unconscious. Or someone hit you with a ball or knock you out. Sometimes people immediately realize that they have an astral body, because that trauma brought them to that state. But it takes a lot of energy to control. Remember, mind controls energy and matter. So your mind controls this physical body, and also controls the astral body. It controls the etheric body. Your mind distributes the amount of energy to those particular bodies in order to bring awareness of consciousness. And usually it's an equal amount of vital energy and mental energy coming together several times that brings about a conscious state. Okay, that's the difference. Okay.
Mostly, for example, I was referring one time or a couple of times, I've become conscious while I'm out.
Mm-hmm.
And not a lot, but a very few times I may be in an adversarial situation where I'm up against someone or something and having a difficult time, then I start reciting one of the 12 blessings, and all of a sudden.
You can do that, or you can take a breath.
Well, that, yeah, taking a breath usually pulls me right back.
Yeah,
But,
you can take a breath, and you take a breath, you'll come back to your body to get you out of that situation. Or you can pull on a mantra or a prayer
yeah, I've used a mantra or prayer in that
to
change
do that
situation.
too. But you have to have the right frame of mind too, because if you in a state of offense instead of defense, you could do some damage. So no, to the
No,
person, to the
the
people around you. So that's why you have to have control over your mind, because you could pull. Because remember, the power, the energy is colored by what?
intention.
Intention, which is what? Your mind,
Mind.
your state of mind. So you have to have safe factors to help you, to guide you through those realms of existence. Because you can easily go to the other side. So that's why you have to be very careful.
Okay, let's see. Why is it that when I engage in breath work or pranayama and get filled with energy, why do I become so emotionally sensitive? For instance, if I'm kind of irritated before starting, I will sometimes become even more irritated. Is there a link between magnifying certain emotions with the breath?
Like I said earlier, you have these. Let me say it and try to say it. You have hundreds of thousands of years of build up frustration and impurities of your own thought and action within your aura, and they store themselves, as the yogis say, as samskaras. They scar the aura. They're megabytes of negative energy. You also have hundreds of thousands of years of positive uh, samskaras as well. But but a lot of times, depending on the frame of mind you're in, when you do the deep breathing without directing your thought to higher realms of consciousness, you can excite these negative samskaras. So if you anger at someone, instead of the teachers tell us to if you're going to do deep breathing while you irritated like that, whoever you irritated by or whatever you irritated by, try to transform it into something positive. If it's a person, then try to send a loving energy to that person, to help them to get through whatever they're doing that's allowing you and other people to be irritated by them. If it's a situation, try to see the situation in a better light and try to learn from the lessons from it. That raises your mind to a higher level of consciousness, because you pull that energy in. Energy is raw. It can go negative or positive. So, but it's you who manipulate the mind energy, you the soul, who manipulate the mind energy, which will take it to the negative or to the positive.
Okay. Next question. This is it's like 3 or 4 questions in one. Are the other realms in the same physical location as this one, just at a different vibration? Do they have the same world map with land masses? Can you make a map of them, or it doesn't work like that?
It's in the same location, but they don't have the same land mass. Like right now, we could be sitting in the middle of an ocean on many different realms, or we can be on the top of a mountain on another realm. So, and usually the way the yogis described it in the past is the lower astral realms actually starts from below the base of the spine down to the feet. in order the portals to those different realms. Each chakra is a portal to those different realms. And then the higher astral realms is from the base of the spine to the solar plexus center. And then the higher subtle realms or etheric realms starts from the heart chakra up. But all of them are taking up the same space. All the realms overlap themselves just on a different vibrational level. You're correct by that. But in another thing, they are physical. They are physical realms. Once you move onto those realms, they are physical realms. They have physical substance. They're more physical in some cases, yeah, because they're more dense, but they absorb mental energy differently than what this gross physical realm does. So I hope I answered your question.
How would we move an object through the realms?
What you mean?
So, it's like for example, if I had a block of lead or something, and I just put energy into it, it would just get hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. But that wouldn't necessarily vibrate it up to a higher realm.
Well, we can move. We do that all the time here on the physical plane. When we take an iron ore and we heat it up, what do we do to that iron ore?
We change its state. We
increase
its energy. Yeah.
We change its state into what? Part of that goes into what? A liquid state, a vapor state. See, and then it goes into a less denser state.
Right.
Right. So all of those, because here, even on this physical realm, you have realms of consciousness. If not, you couldn't have people live here. You couldn't have animals and human beings living in the same space. So the ant life lives on a level of consciousness, but within this physical realm. And the birds live on another level. The dogs live on another level. The humans live on another level. Then the mineral state level. But all of this is the physical realm. And it's a different state of mind. It's a different state of consciousness. And then you have advanced yogi masters and some advanced scientists that live here among us, but they live in a whole different state of consciousness than what we do. But here we can move from one state to the next. You know, the same way they can on the astral realms as well. But yeah. You mean vibrated from one level to the next level?
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, you can do that, but it takes advanced science and a lot of mental energy to do that. You know. Now, what you could do, which you do all the time, when you astral project, do you see yourself naked?
No.
You see yourself in what?
Oh, yeah. Wearing whatever I'm.
So the clothes that's on your body goes with you when you astral project, because you took it with you. You demanded that to go with you. So yes, you can vibrate those. A part of those clothes is vibrated to a whole nother level of consciousness, to the astral realm with you. You know, in fact, I found that not only the clothes, but certain furniture that I like, certain artifacts in my room or my prayer room, it goes with me. You know, and so all those things are connected to you. You know.
So I thought I was generating that clothes on my body and not
No,
actually taking it.
You projected that part with you. It's because everything has a counterpart. Everything lives on multiple realms of existence. And it may look different on different realms. It may take on a different color.
It's more vibrant.
Yeah,
right?
the more the deeper you go down into the lower hells, it may take on a different color. Or the higher you go in the higher realms, it may take on a different color, because the spectrum of light changes from realm to realm.
Okay, so that means, is it safe to say when we use the phrase "all is mind," all is mind, that phrase or law applies, obviously on the subtle realm, but even with the example he gave of heating up iron ore, it's still the same principle.
Yeah.
You're what looks like you're applying or melting something with fire, what you're really doing is melting that substance with mind.
Yeah.
The difference between the physical realm and the subtle realms is the source of energy for that mind.
Directed
correct?
by mind.
Directed by mind
Yeah.
and by someone.
Yeah, because the mind has to come from someone, because mind is all around us, but the soul is the instrument to direct that mind. See, but the mind's all because what does mind do? Mind concentrates intention, which is intelligence, right? Then it brings about what? It brings about design, right? It brings about a strategy to that design, right? And then and then what it does, it brings about a series of operation for that design. And then it rolls that design into a state of operation by what? By putting the right amount of energy behind it. So that's what your mind can do on any realm of existence. On any realm of existence.
It just happens faster and it's different on the subtle realm.
That's right.
But the process is the same.
It's the same thing here. It just is to here we have to really work for it, because the dense matter respond to mind through our fingers. It responds to mind through through us molding it, into shape, and then putting all the different parts together in order to make it run. But it's still mine. All of that is mine. That's why in the yogi teachings they tell you what? They tell you that the energy within the throat, right? It has power to do what? To move, to generate, to communicate, to have you to walk, to have you to bring control over your fingers. Because why? It's mind. It's mind expressing itself onto this physical realm. You have the 4 stages of sound, right? The first sound is parasound, and then it goes up, and then the next one is the first movement of sound. It's the thing that makes the first movement of sound. Then the next one is the thing that bring in the heart chakra. The sound does what? It brings meaning. Meaning mean what? It can control the functions of energy, of mind. Because what does the heart do? The heart does
meaning.
what? Huh?
It gives meaning.
It gives meaning to life. It allows you to express your life in any body that you're in, whether it's a bird body, animal body, or whatever. When you get to the human stage, it's a preamp to voice, to sound. It's a preamp to voice and sound in a bird too, but not the way it is in a human body. And then when you get here, it says that now you have what? Consciousness. You have embodied consciousness, right? And now that embodied consciousness can do what? Express itself. And express itself through what? Through the head, right? It expresses itself through the fingers, and expresses itself through the legs and feet. So it's the same thing, but it just takes longer, like Bernard was saying, it takes longer on this physical plane. But in the astral worlds, the mind, this mind energy, you can think something into being with the mind energy, because mind is so connected to matter but then once you get it into being,
You got to keep it.
you got to keep it, you got to protect it, because other people around you may not be able to do that, and they may beat you down and take what you just created, because they don't have the ability to do that, and they live in an emotional state. But now on the higher realms, when you get to the etheric realms, you don't necessarily have to worry about that too much because everyone has the ability to do something like that. But you still have the threat of the lower realms if you have, because that's where the largest population is. If they can find a way to get there somewhere to attack you.
So that's why all 5 pranas are reflected in the hands, because at least on this
Yes.
level, mind uses
Mind
the
uses
hands
everything.
to manipulate energy in that way.
Right.
That's why the prayer technique is so potent.
That's why it's so potent. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. We were having too much fun, and I wasn't paying attention to your questions. Let me get back to here. Hello, Jack. Glad to see you're able to join us.
Not sure.
Okay.
What's the next question?
Yeah, I see it. Well, I'm just going to ask it. Dr. King said there was an android placed in the lower realms by an advanced race from another system. It could create mind substance almost 50 miles long. How can an android create mind substance? Oh, come on, Jack. You know we can't do that in open discussion class. And could it really have dominated this realm from the other realms?
It was actually 49 square miles, and that's a tremendous feat. That's not, that's not unusual, especially in today's technology. You should realize that if you go back and read a lot of things that he said, and you compare it to technology of today, that question won't need to be asked because right now, through instruments, through the internet, you can control a whole country with the internet. You create a website and you can create and you can control hundreds of thousands of people. Those are minds that you are controlling. The internet have pushed mankind into a whole different level. Now they're beginning to see it because you can really manipulate energy. You can on all different levels, on mind energy on all different levels through the internet. So that's not unusual. It can happen. The android was supposedly a machine. It was a way of creating a mind substance in order to control all the things around it. There was also another event that the Dr. King talked about was Lupic. It was his name, Lupic, right?
It was Lupid with a D?
Yeah.
Lupid with a D?
Yeah, Luped with a D. He created this master computer to tap into the devic energy that was left behind by the thoughts and actions of mankind over centuries, over hundreds of thousands of years. And by him tapping into that energy, he was able to control a 10-mile square radius of devic energy. So, and that's going into advanced metaphysics. And if you want to write me about it, I can talk more about it. Yeah.
Yeah. His question was because how could the android do that when it didn't have a soul?
Everything has a soul.
Everything has a
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was gonna follow up with that
Yeah.
by saying I think if he actually it's a very advanced question to be honest, but there is I think if he can take a look into it before you give a class on it, that consciousness, he needs to take a look at the definition of consciousness and understand that all is consciousness. That
Yeah.
the carpet that we're standing on is conscious and alive.
Right.
The desk, the chair, the microphone in my hand. I'm conscious. Obviously, human beings are conscious. Animals are conscious. Computers today are very much conscious, and we should not limit consciousness to organic material. And then once we understand that everything is conscious, everything is alive, everything has a soul to a certain extent, then the relationship between that entity and the devic realms that make up our existence, it's easy to see how an android, quote unquote, without a quote unquote soul, can control or do something like that. At the end of the day, that android is alive, no different from a smart home. When you walk into the door, the smart home knows you're there, turns on the lights, gets everything going,
Yeah.
based upon your habits and your desires. And eventually, I think for all the wrong reasons, mankind is heading there. And we're going to be in real trouble when it happens.
And let me tell you, scientists, when the scientists got really into the computers way back in the 90s, I think way back in the late 80s and early 90s, they realized that the computer generated images or intelligent smart computers was actually learning from itself and taking on character. You know, so really they begin to understand that now that they have moved forward and they beginning to tap into the nano technology, you know, which really is taking this thing to a whole different level. And they realizing that everything has a consciousness. It may not have the consciousness of a human being, but it has small bits of consciousness. And in other words, it has a will to survive and grow and learn and become better and respond to its environment. And that's every living, and the yogis have always said that. Any other questions?
Yes.
So Jack understood that or what?
Yeah, he said thank you. It makes sense.
Okay.
I haven't experienced
Most of these
astral
people know.
projection yet. Do you recommend practicing? If I'm able to do it, does it signify lower consciousness?
What was the question again?
She said, the person says, I haven't experienced astral projection yet. Do you recommend practicing? If I'm unable to do it, does it signify lower consciousness?
No, it doesn't signify lower consciousness. No.
I mean, as in a good thing or a bad? Trying to say lower consciousness in like animal consciousness or?
I don't know,
I
but
think it's a bad thing.
But no, it's not. Some of the most intelligent people I've met have not been able to project. But no, that's not the case. I'm just telling you that the proper way to go into astral projection is to clear the notic and auric pathways of negative energy that takes control of you. That sends you into a whole different direction than what you want to be. And then when you do gain the ability to astral project, you'll have greater control over your astral body. That's the only thing I'm saying. No, it's not a level of intelligence. Psychic powers is not a level of intelligence. Some of the most ignorant people I met had psychic powers. So.
Do you think the deep holes and tunnels around the pyramids and deep holes and tunnels in India around temples have anything to do with the chakra system and the big chambers in the pyramids?
Has something to do with the? No, I don't think so. I don't. No, the chakra system is the chakra system. The best way to describe the chakra system is a stream of consciousness. I guess we can understand. When I said this 20, 30 years ago, people they didn't kind of understand, but I think you can understand it now, because you can scream, like right now, we're screaming this live on a wave within the electronic magnetic spectrum, if you understand science. So the chakra system is the same way. So every level of your chakra system, on all 108 levels, are different frequencies of consciousness. The different streams of consciousness. You have 108 chakras in your body, and each one is a different level of consciousness. Although several of them work conjointly with each other, but they still have different levels. And then all of them work in conjunction with the nine major chakras within the body that we know of. But each level is a stream of consciousness. It might be a group stream of consciousness, but it recognizes it's like a stream of consciousness. So it has nothing really to do with the pyramids and all of this stuff, because on one level of consciousness you may see the pyramids in a whole different level. You want to answer the question from the what you call it?
Yeah, I'm gonna read it out. Could you give us examples of life lessons we have to learn? Obviously, raising Kundalini is the biggest thing to learn, but what else? Surely it's not how to play the banjo. It must be learning to help others, being less selfish, and overcoming gluttony, greed, lust, etc. Could you confirm karma as teacher? Or are there very definite skills we must acquire? Later in the 9 freedoms, we must learn to do some pretty incredible things like dividing our consciousness or making sunlight. But does that also apply now? Or are most of us still at the microbial level of evolution here to learn karmic lessons? Is it true that our higher self reincarnates us into a situation that will best teach us specific lessons? And how can they be so sure we will learn it?
So what's the question?
Oh, the question is, could you give us examples of life lessons we have to learn?
I mean, he just stated most of them. I
Yeah.
mean, as he answered his own question. I mean, I think I just said that all day long, of how we had to control the energy, take control over our emotions, work, use the different techniques been given us by the yogis, like the 8 limbs of yoga. Yama, nayama, all those things. Pranayama, asana, pratyahara. I mean, all those different layers of the yogi, the limbs of yoga, which I have classes on it. You can go and look at those videos that goes deep into it. Those things, it helps to mold and shape your mind and take control over your consciousness and become aware of the absolute God. And then it gives you control where you can begin to shape and mold your existence.
Okay.
Storming.
The next question is, are karmic lessons learnt by the subconscious mind? Our conscious mind is conditioned by this life. Our supra-conscious mind already knows everything. So the subconscious is sandwiched in the middle. I remember hearing that the last 7 lives are stored in the 7 chakras. So is it our nature that shows if we've learnt lessons? If a child's nature manifests bad qualities, then it shows it hasn't learnt them. Do we, on some subconscious level, remember the lessons from past lives? We must, or we will never advance.
No, the subconscious mind, the subconscious mind is not. It doesn't work like that. The subconscious mind records everything and knows everything about your existence. The subconscious mind is aware of the soul, and it takes direction from the superconscious mind and the soul itself. So no, the subconscious mind don't. It doesn't work like that. The subconscious mind knows exactly what you need to do in order to advance yourself. The same way the superconscious mind understands and knows what you need to do. So, yeah, yeah. The conscious mind is the thing that gets in your way, because you got to understand, the conscious mind is conscious and unconscious all at the same time. See, and it's semi-conscious all at the same time. And then the conscious mind develops a basic level of consciousness, and then it develops a higher state of consciousness all inside the conscious mind. Most people have multiple personalities inside the conscious mind, and the conscious mind works against itself. Because why? Because it builds these impurities that I was telling you about. All these different traits. It builds a level of malice, a level of anger. There's something that I can say that can trigger you and bring all this anger into you. Then there's other things I can say that make you feel sorry for and cry and make you reflect back to the memories stored inside your subconscious mind. But it sends you, your conscious mind sends you on this loop because it's so totally unaware. See, if the conscious mind was really conscious, it'd be conscious of multiple realms of existence. And it'll know everything. It'll see all these different angles to it. But it doesn't, because it's conscious, unconscious, and semi-conscious. See, it's not that the subconscious mind records everything. The subconscious mind works strictly according to the law of karma, and it doesn't deviate. So the pains in my body, the pains in your body, the bad memories, the subconscious mind knows exactly how to distribute that to you in order to do what? In order to reinforce or mold or shape you into the right direction. You may not pay attention to it, but eventually, over lifetimes, you will. So that's the subconscious mind is totally aware. It's totally aware.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very common, yeah.
You mentioned in an old video class that the voice and anus are psychic centers. Could you expand on that? How does that work?
Did I say anus?
I don't know if you're saying psychic centers or
The
one of our senses. Yeah.
Senses. You have 10 senses in the body. And the anus is one of your senses. That's what I didn't say it was a psychic center. I said it was one of your senses. Yeah, it's a sense organ. It's a sense organ. It's a sense organ, and it's part of your senses, because you have. It's very elaborate. I mean, but to understand that you have. Most people think you go back and look at my diagrams. I have diagrams. Is that diagram on Facebook? I have a diagram that lays out the 10 senses. We have a Facebook page you can go to, and there's different diagrams that help you to understand. I didn't call it a psychic center. I said it was one of the 10 senses, because man always talking about 5 senses, but the yogis taught us. I say mankind talk about 5 senses, but the yogis taught us that there's at least 10 senses. Some yogis say there's more than 10 senses, but so I laid out the diagram of those senses and what they and why they make sense. The psychic centers, you have 7 major psychic centers, or 6 major psychic centers along the spine, and then you have the crown chakra above the spine, and then you have 2 major chakra centers in each hand, bringing that to a total of 9 major known psychic centers. It might be more than 9, but those are the ones that's taught to the public. And then you have another 99 psychic centers within the body. There's either minor psychic centers or minute psychic centers throughout the body. So I now in some of my diagrams I give you these 7 major psychic centers in the legs and 7 major psychic centers above the legs in some of those diagrams, and I explain the ancient a brief ancient explanation of those psychic centers. So those diagrams are on the Facebook too, so you can look at that. Did I answer his question?
I think so.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. What's the next question?
Let's see. Okay. What causes sudden lack of awareness when you're experiencing a vision while meditation to where you forget you're meditating and go along with whatever is taking place or situations in the vision?
Is that a concentration?
Yeah, it's not meditation. It's when I guess you're in a state of concentration or in concentration or dream type state, daydreaming type state, because concentration is when you direct your mind down one channel and one thought or one subject or whatever, and you absorb everything in that particular thing that you're trying to do. And some people mistake something least in that of meditation, but it's not meditation. Concentration leads to meditation, because if you continue to concentrate, trying to be a single-minded on a single subject, you will move into what's called contemplation, where you begin to have psychic visions of or psychic sight and psychic hearing and psychic taste on what you are concentrating on. And then if you continue to contemplate, it'll move you eventually into a world of meditation where you become one with what you concentrating and contemplating on. And you won't forget anything. You won't be taken into anywhere. If you lose your train of concentration, that means that you have entered the world of daydreaming. And that's all that is because concentration, contemplation, and meditation is a very active state.
Loyalty, can you describe the technique you use to enter that state? And that'll give us more insight into answering your question. Okay, next question. Does the time of day affect my ability to feel energy when practicing pranayama? And what Ayurvedic herbal substances can I use in order to boost my awareness to feeling the energy?
He asked herbal, then put Ayurvedic in print comment.
Well, it shouldn't be a time of day where the energy to tap into that energy, but because of the state of mind that we're in, there are times of days that's best fitted for us to do that. And the yogis have several times. They have uh, 3 a.m. in the morning, between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., and midday. Well, 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., and then also the rise of the sun, and then midday, and then the setting of the sun, and of course midnight. Those are the key times that they give you, but that shouldn't really be the case if you had total control over your mind, or some type of control over your mind, where you can control the emotions.
You talk about difference between our approach, your approach to yoga and self-development versus others.
Can you?
What?
Oh, okay. Can you talk about the difference between, I guess you can say, our approach, their society approach to self-development, as opposed to others, where the emphasis in this class will always be on the power of your own soul and the ability to manipulate mind and matter in all conditions, as opposed to having to rely on, say, an Ayurvedic herb, for example, to give you a boost of concentration power.
Yeah, we don't necessarily believe in taking those psychedelic type herbals, but herbs and Ayurvedic is a good science, and but I don't think it should be used to try to enhance your senses. It should be used uh, to make the body healthy, but not. I don't agree with some of those yogi teachings that they have you to take the herbs in order to go into a so-called meditative state. I don't believe in that. But you can use the herbal medicine, or the Ayurvedic medicine, to keep the body pure, flushed out, clean, healthy, and like that. But it shouldn't be used for psychic as a shortcut. No, it shouldn't be used like that.
I know for me, when I started out,
Hmm.
like those first few limbs of Raja Yoga
Hmm.
helped, switching to a vegetarian diet,
Yeah,
drinking more water,
right.
or only drinking water, that'll boost
Yeah,
your sensitivity.
those things help too. But that's Ayurvedic, really. It's hatha yoga, yeah.
Okay, so this is a follow-up. The person who asked the question about the meditation, they're describing their technique they use. And they say, I lay flat on my back and have a male and female moki balls, male in my right palm and female in my left palm. She said the technique they use is they lay flat on the back, and they have, I guess, two moki balls. I'm not sure what those are. A male one in the right hand and a female one in the left hand, while they're laying on the back.
Well, the yogi approach is that you sit upright in a lotus position, and if you can't do that, then you adopt a wooden chair with a straight back, and you sit up there so the spine is straight, and then you go into some type of concentrative practice. And usually you might want to start it off with a prayer, a mantra, and then you ease your mind into the thing that you are concentrating on. And another thing is you can adopt certain mudras in order to enhance the mental flow of energy within the body, to inhibit other energies and enhance the mental flow of energy in the body. And you can also curl the tongue up lock the energy within the body, and then go into into the silence on the subject or theme that you're trying to concentrate on. That's a that's a proper method that I was taught many years ago. Yeah, yeah. There's another question.
Yeah, a couple more. Let's see. I often feel sensations between my heart and throat chakras, such as fluttering, burning, and discomfort. Assuming I'm healthy, does this signify some scars there? Do certain mudras or chants help? Yeah, they said that I often feel sensations between my heart and throat chakras, such as fluttering, burning, and discomfort.
When? Throughout the day, or when? When does that happen?
Yeah, does that happen while you're doing practices, or does it happen throughout the day? Like when do you get those sensations? Let's see. Another question from someone else. Whenever I become calm, well, they said constantly. They feel that constantly.
They need to go see a doctor, get an X-ray or something. That shouldn't be the case. What's the other question?
Whenever I become calm or very excited, I constantly begin to start seeing sparks of lights, either when the eyes are open or closed. Then I begin to see and feel those spinning spheres in the center.
Which center?
I guess the center of those sparks, the light.
Is he talking about the psychic center, or he's talking about?
I don't know. Can you expand on that, Emmanuel?
When you begin to practice pranayama exercises and yoga exercises, you begin to see the energy all around you, and that's similar to the energy that's the prana that fills the room or outside majority of times. And as your energy, as your psychic sight gets better, you begin to see the sparks, the gray mist around the sparks as well, because there's a huge gray mist that blankets this earth. You know, it's negative energy that's everywhere. So, but in the places you don't see it so much is in the country area. But when you go into buildings, you go into certain places, it's everywhere. But those are sparks of energy, of prana, that's all around you. And sometimes you can have you can see in certain highly energized places, you see spheres of energy that floats by. It can be temples. It can be. I seen it when we went to the mountain top. Yeah. And I seen it. I seen it in churches and temples, and where people gather for prayer and whatever. But it's all around in those concentrated areas where positive energy happens.
Okay, he said, and feel these spinning spheres in the center of his vision. They're made of a rainbow stripe in the middle of two spinning lines in the center, and field around it moves like a torrid field. The clearer I see them, the stronger I feel them. What are these things?
Those are energy globules, I think they call them. The energy spheres. They float around everywhere. Now, when you begin to practice advanced yoga, you breathe those things in order to get a true a burst of energy. I doubt it. He generated. Yeah. You mean like illusion?
No, he's the one that's generated.
No, I doubt it. But I doubt it. But because they everywhere. I mean, if you in an energized place or a positive place, you'll see them. They're everywhere. Remember, Robert, when he came to the class that time, he went to the pyramids, and he went to the mosque. You remember over in the Middle East in India? No, Robert Barnes. Robert Barnes took pictures, and he was able to photograph the spirits of energy inside that temple. Did you see the pictures he had? Yeah, he brought them right here to this class. Yeah, and he came ask me what were, because I think he heard me talk about him at one time. Then when he went and he developed his photos, because he went over there because he was interested in shape power, and he wanted to being an architect. He wanted to. No, he didn't pass. No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think you're thinking of Bob.
No, Robert Bonds, the architect down in Homestead.
Yeah, you're thinking about the other guy.
Oh, that was what's his name? He never came here. Yeah.
Oh, someone else?
Yeah. So but that's normal. You see that in those energetic places. Because when he went inside those ancient temples with all the different shape power to it, he was able to. I think he had a high speed camera. He was able to catch he couldn't see him, but the camera caught him. It caught all the different energy spheres that was in there.
Okay, everyone, if you have any final questions, please ask them now. Otherwise, you can always send us an email, or you can email your questions to me, and I will ask them in our next open discussion.
Hmm?
They're asking if there's going to be another class next Sunday.
Yeah, we can meet next Sunday. Well, you got something to do?
No, I was trying to think if we have anything for next Sunday. I don't think.
Yeah, we'll be here next Sunday. Open discussion until I get past this hump. I got a bunch of closings coming up.
All right, everyone. Go ahead and close out with our prayer. New Lord's Prayer. O divine and wondrous Spirit, O everlasting Lord of hosts, send forth now through me thy great and lasting power. Allow me, Almighty God, the lasting privilege of radiating to all the world thy great love, so that those who suffer may be given the power and energy to rise above their weaknesses. Almighty God, in great humility do I ask you to send forth your power, to give to me this great lasting privilege of being a channel, so that my suffering brothers may be helped and guided and healed and lifted into thy light, so that they who know not may look up and in doing so receive to their higher selves your divine counsel. Almighty God, this day have you granted me a divine privilege. I ask you now to give to me the strength so that never again will I turn from my inner vision of you. O great peace, great peace, great peace. In praise of your greatness, O God, doth my soul sing, granted energy to sing on forever and forever. All right, thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.